look the exact same Amazon website with your login and your orders and your history and everything will be in there, except for the fact that a small fraction of your purchases will go towards helping us support the show. So please do that.
Absolutely.
You're listening to The Free People Show on freepeopleshow.com and on Facebook. We'll be back in 2 minutes. 6%? 7%? That's a lot of money. I might as well just do it myself. Well, that might be true, if a lot of that money you're paying a real estate broker is going toward outdated methods, unnecessary fancy offices, and overpaying executives for a lifetime of service. But you don't need to go that route. Silver Compass Realty is a full-service real estate brokerage serving all of South Central Wisconsin, and the commission is negotiable. Silver Compass will explain exactly what they're going to do to help you buy or sell a home, how that will help you reach your goals, and stand right beside you every step of the way. They want to be your broker, your expert, even when you're not in the middle of a transaction. Silver Compass Realty, helping you find your way home. Contact them today at silvercompassrealty.com or call 608-361-8608. Silver Compass Realty, helping you find your way home.
Would you like to experience being one of the free people who produce their own meat and eggs? PurelyPoultry.com has both the chickens and supplies you need to raise your own poultry.
Would you like pets who produce eggs you can barter with? Your own source of clean meat?
A swan on your pond to make your home strikingly beautiful?
How about some pheasants and quail roaming in your woods for enjoyment? If so, check out PurelyPoultry.com.
Burger House 41 is open at 1860 West Mason in Green Bay. You're invited to indulge in one of life's simplest pleasures, a great burger. We're grilling up 15 fresh signature burgers and have over 30 craft beers for the perfect pairing. Experience Wisconsin's best flavors, including white cheddar cheese curds, a variety of specialty sandwiches, milkshakes, and gourmet frozen custard. Burger House 41 at 1860 West Mason is open at 11 a.m. daily. Taste Wisconsin. Taste amazing.
We're back with the Free People Show at freepeopleshow.com. My co-host tonight, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, is Ron DePouw. One of the things that he is involved with is he is a veteran of the United States military and just returned. I think you're in the reserves, is that right?
That is correct.
Or the National Guard.
Yep.
And just returned from that. So let me ask you, this is not specific to your military career, but the idea that we're celebrating this this holiday with fireworks, that we're celebrating it as sort of it's a, what's the word, quasi-violent sort of demonstrations of bombs, you know. As somebody who served in the military, and I did as well, but you most recently by far, do you think it's odd that we have a federal government and to a certain extent local governments that are so anti-individuals exercising their right to defend themselves? There's a lot of people, even Republicans, well, not libertarians generally speaking, except for Bill Weld, bad libertarian folks, bad libertarian, who are really those folks who are in favor of restricting people's right to defend themselves. But that, in fact, is what was exercised in the holiday that we're celebrating right now. We're celebrating it with a show, with a demonstration or recapitulation, whatever, of the violence that individuals took up arms against their oppressor. And in terms of like your particular perspective, do you think that's right, or how does that jive with your history in the military?
As far as people actually doing that, and
well, we just kind of talked about how the military, the United States military, has been part of the oppression,
right? And
if you project different roles on the Patriots and the British, in a sense, the way I'm sort of qualifying this whole thing is that we, the libertarians, or people that are like-minded, are the Patriots, and the government, our government right now, the United States federal government, is the British. So,
right,
and I'm not going to go down the whole Arvin Vohra thing because that whole thing was ridiculous. I'm sorry, Arvin, that was in poor taste and insulting. That whole diatribe about veterans being murderers or whatever, that was just very smart man saying some very stupid stuff. But how do you feel like, that relates in terms of the fireworks going off, celebrating war to a certain extent, but celebrating it as individuals defending themselves against a tyrannical power?
Well, I have no issues with fireworks. I think it's kind of, we celebrate with fireworks, but I don't know if it's ironic, but it's heavily regulated.
Oh, it
at
is,
the same time. You know, it's like, here we celebrate, individuals defending themselves by shooting off fireworks and things like that. But at the same time, it's, well, you can do this, but we're going to regulate you on it and tell you what you can and can't do, what you can and can't use. And I don't know if that ironic is the right word, but it's a little bit disheartening, at least.
Wouldn't it be more appropriate if we did, and I think, forgive me if anyone is offended by how I put this forward, but my understanding is that Mexicans on Mexican Independence Day, or historically, will go outside and shoot guns in the air if they had guns.
Right.
Wouldn't it be more appropriate if anybody that's got a firearm, as long as they did it safely, I mean, you can't shoot bullets up in the air and then have them land on your neighbor's property and cause a mess, but maybe you just use a shotgun and the shot scatters, or in some way that doesn't infringe on other people's property rights. If we actually went out and shot guns today, wouldn't it be more appropriate? The individuals, permitted or not, go out and shoot some guns today and celebrate this holiday, which was one of throwing off government tyranny.
I'd be fully in support of, going out, shooting off some guns. If, whether I'm in the military or not, I guess it doesn't really influence me personally. I would see it as, you should have the right to celebrate this day as any way that you seem fit. That's the whole purpose behind this, was the freedom and independence of every individual to live their lives as they see fit. So however you want to celebrate it.
Yeah, the pursuit of happiness. That should be how we celebrate, right? Not regulated by the government so much as it is today.
Right.
And I think this is one of these situations, and it sort of goes along with the way that the government or, the people in power, promote this left-right paradigm. They want the public to have ways to think that they're celebrating something when they're actually not. So this holiday has become very patriotic, and not patriotic as much in the sense that, that the founding fathers threw off the tyranny of their government, because that's sort of a dangerous idea to the current powers that be. But the idea that it's also sort of joined with this narrative that since then the United States has been this promoter of liberty and freedom throughout the world, this liberator of peoples, this, that we go in and we spread freedom, and presidents have been saying that for forever. I don't know if Abraham Lincoln said that, but certainly, Wilson and FDR and Kennedy, I don't know about Kennedy, Bush, Obama, et cetera, there's this idea that we're somehow out there freeing people, when in fact we know that that's not what the United States government is about at all. But what they try to do, I think, is allow us to celebrate this holiday in a way that's sanitized. That if there were real movement to celebrate it in a way that was more in line with how the event actually played out and what it was about, that would be seen as dangerous by the government, and it would not be allowed to happen. Whereas as long as it's tied in with a continuing blind patriotic following of the military and this narrative of American exceptionalism and our being the world's policemen, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that's okay because there's no threat to the current power structure.
Right. I think you make a good point. I guess kind of the thing, that keeps people from really looking into this day is, we talk about, like you said, the military, it's always about thank the troops for protecting you and, fighting for your freedoms, and they're doing everything so that you can be free at home. So you don't need to fight for anything because they got it all taken care of, just, support them and
unquestioningly support them.
Exactly.
Don't look too hard.
Right. Exactly. And it's, I don't know, it's kind of hard to...
Oh, it's Scout the Show Dog joining us. We got neighbors shooting off fireworks.
Yeah.
So Scout doesn't like that a whole lot. She's guarding us.
Yeah. But, if you don't question the military and its purposes, not saying that the military hasn't, served its role. I mean, as a common defense and a large defense, it is definitely a deterrent, from outside forces. But you also have to look in the inside, and not just external threats, but internal threats. So to think that the military is going to protect you from everything, it's just not right.
When people thank you knowing that you're currently serving in the reserves and did serve on active duty for how many years? 8?
Yeah, 8.5 years.
8.5 years
Active.
How do you feel when they thank you for your service? If they thank you in that sort of patriotic, like thank you for your service sort of thing. I mean, I know what your politics are, and I obviously know what mine are, and how I feel about the time that I served, and I think that doesn't feel too comfortable to me, being thanked in that way, because it sort of promotes a narrative of what we're doing and why we're doing it that not only from a political standpoint I know to be false, but even when I served, I wasn't over there for the purpose of spreading freedom and, in my case, guarding against a possible Soviet invasion in Western Europe.
Right.
That wasn't why I was there. I was there because, circumstances led me there, and I wanted to get my college paid for. And that was a way to do it and get some skills or whatever. Skills as a combat medic that I actually I shouldn't say I never used them, but not in an employment situation, I never used them.
Right.
So, and I know that there are people that have served in the military that do feel patriotic, but even that can be a trap, right? Because if people go into the military and serve in the military believing what the government has told them, at some point they get they get disillusioned too, and we see that with people like Adam Kokesh and others who have served, and you get over somewhere and you're like, hey, what exactly are we doing here and why?
Yeah.
So then that the whole process of coming back to the United States, being back home, and then being thanked for service under this sort of with this narrative of freedom and liberty and protection and all this stuff that's not true. To me, it's uncomfortable. I don't know how you feel about it. It seems strange.
It is. And when I was recruiting for a while, you'll walk around a town and you're wearing your uniform, so everyone's not everyone, but a lot of people come up to you and they want to shake your hand or buy you dinner or something like that and thank you for your service, and under the assumption that you have been fighting for their freedoms and stuff like that. And I mean, if we look back in the past 15 years, I think the majority of Americans would agree that the Iraq War was not anything that we should have done. In no way was it for fighting for our freedoms and those kinds of things. So when somebody thanks you for your service, and let's say you did go to Iraq or something like that, it's hard to swallow at certain times when you know kind of what the military is used for, what it's not really being used for, what it's supposed to be used for as far as fighting for our freedoms. It can be a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, I've had the same experience, and I'm not obviously walking around in a uniform. That would look pretty silly at my age, and the shape in which my body is right now. That would look a little silly. Although I did have a first sergeant when I was in Germany, who was near the end of his career and had gotten pretty stout and had to actually wear a girdle, not a woman's girdle, not like a rubber girdle, but it was really no secret. He had to strap his whole gut in to go, but he could run a couple of miles in the morning somehow, at age 37 or whatever he was. But at any rate, the moral of the story is that we celebrate this holiday today. What we should be celebrating, and obviously I've made that clear, I think, in my opinion, is that the Declaration is a wonderful document, and that we should be celebrating it and the concepts and the freedoms and the ideas that it contains, and disconnect it from pretty much everything that's happened since. To a certain extent, the Constitution, although that's a great document too. But we should really look hard at what our government has done since then, the long progression of continuing encroachments on personal sovereignty, state sovereignty. The idea that it's a union of states to begin with is long gone. And especially since the beginning of the 20th century, constantly taking our wealth, restricting our liberties, lying to us, and creating this state that we live in that is no longer anything like what the Founding Fathers would have envisioned, the ones that were responsible and put the ideas into the Declaration of Independence. We have one more segment to go. We'll be back in about 2 minutes. We'll wrap up with Ron. Thanks so much for joining us tonight in person as a host. You're always around as a business manager. We'll be back with the Free People Show at freepeopleshow.com as well as on Facebook in 2 minutes.
Would Would you like to experience being one of the free people who produce their own meat and eggs? PurelyPoultry.com has both the